Hey guys, we are here at the United States Botanic Garden Production Facility in Southwest Washington, D.C. and we're talking today with Dyanne Avery, who is really caring for our poinsettia collection here that you're going to see on display throughout the conservatory. And she's going to give us some behind the scenes information. Hey Dyanne.
Hi.
So tell us a little bit about, kind of, for the U.S. Botanic Garden, what does the poinsettia growing process look like? When does it start? How long do you care for them? Give us a little behind the scenes info.
Okay, well, we start ordering them. We already know what we're going to grow for next year right now. We've already decided the color scheme and that kind of thing, but we will start the ordering process in early February, and we'll have a ship date will be in the middle of July, will be our first and earliest shipment, and we'll get all of the varieties that take the longest to grow.
Okay.
Or we need to finish early, like by Thanksgiving, because that's when our Christmas or holiday show starts.
Yep.
And so they have to be ready. So the first shipment comes in mid-July. The second shipment follows anywhere from the first week of August to the third week. And again, it depends on how long the variety takes to finish and when we need it. So that's how we start the process. And then it's, once they're plugged, they come in as rooted cuttings, and we put them in the pots. And once they're put in the pots, it's a daily process, because the first week it's really important to shade them because they're under stress from being potted, and make sure we keep them really good and moist but not dripping wet, so that they will root in properly. And then once they've been in the media for about a week, it's open up the shades and let the sun shine on them. They really like the hot, bright sun. They don't like the humidity. So it's a little bit of a balancing act to keep them from being too wet, too humid, and all that kind of thing in July when it's 100 degrees.
And very humid in DC.
And very humid. So, I mean, it's a balancing act in the beginning, but once they get going, then they kind of really take care of themselves. They don't want a lot of water. They want to be just kind of left alone, although I do maintain the house. Like, I keep the floors clean, I keep the debris out of the pot. It helps cut down on any kind of pests or, you know, diseases that are born, and if the spacing is important. So I'm doing a lot of spacing in the room so that they're not touching, so they don't transfer those pests or the diseases as easily. So I mean, it's a day-to-day process from July until December.
And then what happens around the end of September?
At the end of September, we will put the dark curtains, which are all around the room, and they completely black out the room for 12 hours, which helps us to get them to color up sooner so that they are ready for Christmas. A couple of examples where they're a little later are in the very back of the room, and my big, huge species trees, I couldn't fit into the inside of the blackout curtain, so that took them a little longer to color up, which is okay for us because we'll have that to switch out later in the show season.
And that dark period is really important for poinsettias because that's really what triggers them to color, right?
That's what triggers them to color, absolutely.
And how many days is it typically that we do that dark process of 12 hours?
It's about 10 to 2 weeks, 10 days to 2 weeks. It usually starts the last week of September, somewhere between the 23rd and the 27th. And then it stays closed for 10 days to 2 weeks. And a lot of that depends on just how the weather is outside. And then this year, I only left it closed 10 days. And it was because it was so warm outside. And it just really wasn't going to make much difference at that point.
Sure.
So anyway, 10 days to 2 weeks. So by the 10th of October, they're open back up again, and they're getting as much sun as they can. The temperature in this room, it goes down throughout the growing process. So by September, we're starting to drop the temperatures a little bit. They like it cool and dry, and they're a cool weather bloomer. So, I mean, you know.
Yeah. And how many total plants do we typically grow for display?
This year we did 3,000, and it's usually somewhere between 2,000 and 3,500. It doesn't look like that many in here because a lot of the pots have 3 to a pot. Right. So that's a little bit deceiving, but we definitely fill this room completely from front to back every year.
And then a large quantity is already going up, right? They're already on display.
Oh,
People
yeah,
can see them already.
Yeah, at least a third to a half are already gone.
Are already on display. And we also showcase a lot of new varieties, right? Each year, things that are brand new on the market
right.
are still being trialed, and so we're looking for how do they, hold up in our growing circumstances, right? We also have to move them
Right.
And how is that process of like finding new trials? Like, do you enjoy that? Like testing them, seeing how they're working?
Well, typically when we go out and we are looking for next year, we will order varieties this year that we want to test and see with the color scheme that we're going to have for the following year, if they'll work. We've had trials before where we love the color, love the habit on certain varieties that have not even been introduced to the general public yet. And we found when we grew them that they were very brittle, they broke very easily, and so it wasn't really going to work for us because we have to be able to ship them up to the conservatory, and then you have a mass movement of people putting them in place and displaying them, and then you have the general public come and buy them and brushing them, and they just literally would split apart. So that one didn't work. So that we knew we didn't want to use that one again. So I mean, it's all for a reason. Exactly. Yeah.
And I hear that there's a particular trial that started a few years ago that you have fallen in love with. Do you want to tell us a little bit about your favorite?
I love Premium Picasso from the very minute that I saw it. It's been my favorite. There's just something about the weird splashy color on this one that it speaks to me, and it always has, and it still remains my very favorite of all time.
And this one we looked up, this one's been on the trial circuit now for about 9 years, and so we've been growing it for several years, 2 or 3 years. Yeah, is that right?
It's been here since I've been here, and I've been here. This is my 5th year, so.
It's been here for a few years, and I can say that we get a lot of questions about this variety and several of the other kind of speckled varieties. And this one in particular has that great splashy look, kind of reminiscent of its painterly name, Premium Picasso. And so, well, Dyanne, thank you for sharing a little bit about the growing process, and we'll get back to you and ask for some tips for home growers in another video.
Okay, great.
Thanks.
Thanks.